Shiva, not Sheva.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Shiva. So anyway, yeah, cool stuff. Thank you for the introduction. I really, it's just this work is very, very empowering to others, and my goal is to empower others and find what their goals and what they want to do with their lives and go for it. And I really think that if we can, clear those blocks, understand what they are, say hello to them, acknowledge them, because everything is sacred, right? We learn
Yeah.
from all of those blocks. So it's important to acknowledge them and not, put yourself down for them. Just know that, it's time to go,
Yeah.
time to move on, so we can, go ahead and do what you need to do for your life.
That's
So
right. I agree. And I think, at some level we all realize this, like we know this. The challenge I know so many people here are dealing with is how do we get out of that pattern? How do we break out of that? And one of the things I wanted to start with is a little bit of your story and some of your contacts, some of your exposure, and some of what brought you here today. Tell me, how did all of this begin for you? The medical intuition and some of the experiences that you've had.
yeah, thank you. Well, I grew up in a metaphysical home. So I grew up with a, mind over matter, and the ability to actually know that what we live in is perfect and that we have the ability to heal. So we didn't do a lot of doctors. We, sort of really
Oh,
wanted to, yeah. So it was very cool. Um, Sometimes when we were really sick, we went to a doctor. But so then I also grew up with, dance and music and the joy of life and nature and love, and all those things were present. So I was very lucky to have that. And then became a professional dancer and understood that energy and music and movement were one, and
yes.
that if you can express that through your body and not speak, that is a language in itself. So that's energy.
Yes.
I really understood that intuitively. And, as a young child, I could see things and know things, and I thought everybody else did. And, you just kind of had that. And so I went to camp and had a near-death experience at 12.
Tell me, can you tell us about it? What
Yeah.
happened?
So I was in a canoe, and there were all these, we were all females, and we took these rapids in Michigan that hadn't been
Mm.
taken in 5 years. And of course, these were
Oh,
very strong women, or young but strong.
right.
And we're going around a bend, and there are a bunch of reeds on the side, and I see this canoe going up and down like this, and a log in front of it.
Mm.
And I stopped and yelled at age 12, we're in trouble here. So we portaged and went over there were like six canoes. I was the last one, but my canoe started to sink. And we were kind of giggling and laughing, but I went
No.
under, and my foot got caught between two canoes. So I was hanging on like this, and then I kind of blanked out. And there is no time
Mhm.
when you go through the tunnel.
Oh,
There is no time. And so I went up and I saw the light, and I saw these energies that I knew. And then I heard this voice saying, "No, you're not ready."
wow.
And so there was this rush. And I described this as, there was an umbilical cord kind of pulling me back in to my
Yeah.
body.
The Aka chord, they call it, I think.
Yes, it's really wild. And so I sort of jumped back in my body. And it's funny, I didn't cry. I cried because I knew something had changed and shifted, but I didn't know what it was.
Wow.
And it was a blessing, but I knew that something happened to something, a soul, my soul, or whatever you want to call it. And then the same year, age 12,
Mm.
um, I had that ET experience.
Okay, you got to unpack that one for us.
Okay.
ET experience. And I don't know if we get much of that here, although know we've had a few guests like Ken Rolla and many others that have had that type of contact, but please. an NDE and ET experience is
Yeah.
pretty special. And in the same year, it sounds
Same
like, right?
year. I'm in a
Wow.
book. I'm in, her name's Adwater on one of
Yeah.
those. Anyway,
Yeah, the NDE books. Yeah. Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
So, yeah, I was sick, but that's sort of a normal thing, evidently, with these ET experiences and these
Oh.
people. I saw a light over the house, and my sister saw it too. So I
Oh.
know I'm not cray cray, maybe a little cray cray, but anyway.
You fit
Um,
in just fine here,
yeah, yeah,
Fran. Don't
great,
worry.
perfect, perfect. Let it rip. So this thing landed, the door flew open, I saw these little people, and so
Really? Oh.
telepathically they are communicating with me, and I knew that at the time, but I didn't remember the experience until much later, because you just, it's just, did that really happen? And it
Yeah.
really did happen. So they said, well, we're going to take your parents. I said, no. No, we're going to take the other sister. And I said, no. And the others, no. They took me. I said, take me. I
Oh.
think it's an agreement. These, I think they've been here before, and I was part of that. And there's a memory somewhat of, this telepathic communication, which was very natural for me. It was just like, well, yeah, well, of course.
Oh my gosh.
So they took me in the ship up these steps, and they laid me on a table, and there was a tall gray, as they say, a tall,
Uh-huh.
and they took something out of my left ovary, which is, I mean, you're hearing stories now about all that stuff. I was not scared. They didn't hurt me at all, but I felt as if there was some sort of a mutation maybe, or not transmutation, but something happened where I think I got a speed for healing, but didn't know
Yeah.
what it was until probably
Yeah.
these past 20 years. So I came back into the house, and my body was off the bed. So I was floating, and I didn't realize what had happened. I said, what am I doing? What am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
And got back in the bed and went to, went to sleep. And so I didn't remember it until late, deep, deep meditations. That's when I remembered. And I said, okay, I got it. Thank you. So I think that we all have this ability. I think we all have this experience somewhere in our lives, in our past lives, where we actually have that. And I think we're remembering. That's why it's this where we are right now in this transition. We're at an ending and a beginning. And I think we have access to this 5D for a reason. That this ability that we can actually heal
Yeah.
ourselves. So
Yeah.
anyway, so I think it has something to do with why that they gave me something, they took something from me in order for us to exist, to continue to exist. They are now helping us also with technology. We have love. We know what love is. And in order for this planet to continue and survive, we have to love and keep the love alive with the technical ability to service us in a positive way moving forward.
Yes. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I want to see, I'm kind of, my mind is reeling because the story is just incredible. What do you all think about Fran's experiences? I mean, first the NDE and then actual visitation, and you went onto the ship. Did you, wow. Yeah, people are just incredulous here. Do you remember anything about the experience on the craft? Did you feel any different energy or vibration? Were there noises, smells, sights, anything that sticks in your mind? It's
Well,
very rare that I have someone with your experience on the show. So,
Um, so again,
mm,
very hard to have a concept. There is no time.
yeah.
So how they speak through telepathic information. So just imagine if we're not even talking, we can, you know, just sit here and look at each other just like that. Same thing with energy when there's healing. So there was no emotion. There was intrigue,
Okay.
which is really good. I mean, intrigue, that's part of the system. That's part of the Shiva system is intrigue and interest and
Mm,
integrity and, all those things of self-discovery. So the fascination of it was there was no judgment. It just was.
it just was. Yeah, we have Tracy. It sounds like you answered Tracy's question. She says, "How did you feel, peace or fear?" And it sounds like you had no judgment. It just was.
It just was.
Yeah.
It was an experience. It was an
Wow.
event. It was a moment. Uh, um, you know, and not stillness, not because it's not in our consciousness. It's not in this. It's just they're in the way beyond the 5D and they're just in a very different level.
Questions coming in, and I just want to address these questions. It's such an interesting point of kind of you and your journey. Daphne says, "Did they take away your ovary? And did anything they do limit you later in life that you're aware of, Fran?"
Interesting. Um, I had trouble getting pregnant, and I did they looked at my ovaries, and I mean, everything was working okay, but my
Okay.
left ovary and I knew it came from my left. My left ovary had a different shape than my
Wow.
right.
Wow.
And I know that they took probably some eggs from that left side.
Wow.
Yeah, and so even as I say that, that kind of lights up that area for me. And you know, if it helps humanity to continue on, and if I did contributed to that, I'm fine with that.
So it sounds like, and then I want to kind of segue into your medical intuition because
Yeah.
all of this is kind of connected. I mean, you're coming from these. You had a very open childhood, very open family. It seems like in terms of all of this energy, right? 'Cause the
Yeah.
pioneers of like energy healing, right? Y'all understood this stuff, uh, and then you open these near-death experience, then this ET otherworld experience, and then being a medical intuitive, did that start to open up from that point on, or was that always open? And how does it express itself today?
Okay, so when you have that kind of traumatic thing happen, you just shove it. You don't really look at it.
Hmm.
But from 12 on, I would say that there were guides, energies trying to wake me up
Yeah.
at 19, in my 20s, and I was like, I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Maybe I knew, I don't know. I just wasn't ready. It wasn't until, and of course, I could express that through dance, right? Choreography, and I could do that. I loved moving because I could move my body and not share all that other stuff. But I knew when I would teach, I would do energy work on the people in the room at the ballet bar. I didn't know that. So anyway, long story short, got married, had my children, lived life, had fun, enjoyed life. And then I was teaching at a Montessori school in Cincinnati, and one of the parents was a doctor who's an alternative doctor, and he was opening a center. And he said, Franny, I said, what? He said, you see energy. And I said, really? what does that mean? Of course, I knew what he meant, but I was afraid that he would find out, right?
Yeah.
He said, I want you to start training with my trainer, Rosa Briere. And I said, okay, I will. And I worked with him for 12 years. She came to train, and I went, oh my God, they found me. So
You said, "Oh
that
my God, they
found
found
me.
you. They
They found me.
found you."
So
Okay.
I looked at her and I went, oh my God, she's a medical intuitive. I'm a medical intuitive. I've done this 1,000 times.
Wow.
And then I went into deep meditation through Gloria and John, and I did all this chakra stuff. And I found, oh my God, I've done this 1,000 times. So it just got deeper and deeper, and there was no way I could leave. And then I got Shiva channeled to me, and I went, all right, I'm done. You have me. You have me.
It sounds like Shiva is almost like the culmination
Yeah.
of all of these
Yeah.
experiences that are so unique. I mean, this is a real treat. Wow.
Yeah. 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 It's, it really didn't come into, it's a combination of movement and meditation and energy and Enneagram, but it really didn't, it started coming in when I had cancer. And my dad died of prostate cancer in many years ago. And I had three small children, and my husband wasn't around. My mom was flipping out, and my sister's
Mm.
somewhere else. And my body broke down, and I got cancer. I had stage 4 cervical cancer. And the doctor said, well, you got to take everything out because you're going to die. And I went, no, I'm not.
Oh my gosh. Mm.
So I found another gynecologist, and I said, this is what I do. And this is while I was working with Rosalind, learning about this, but I had already started before I was training with her, basically. Mind over matter, right? So I would do energy work on that part of my body, saying, I'm whole. This is an interruption. I'm going to kill the cancer cells, and I'm going to live my life, period. So, the doctor's saying, okay, well, whatever you need to do. So I would go back every 3 months and get checked, because that's what you have to do. And I had one procedure. And then after 5 years, I was clear. But I think that because of that experience, that's when I said, okay, I'm the guinea pig. I'm going to make this happen so that others can understand themselves
Yes.
that life is sacred.
Mm. Mhm.
And that if you communicate with your body, mind, heart, soul, and you have the ability to understand that this is important,
Mm.
to read the cues and understand that we evolve once we communicate with what is there through love. So from there, that's the impetus of the Shiva method, is that I'm going to experience things so that I can share it, so that people can do it for themselves, so they understand their body, so that they can start loving themselves and be a part of this experience of life without an apology.
Right. Yeah. Everyone, can you feel the energy around this? I notice when we bring in concepts or we tap into truth, there's a palpable vibrational shift just in the space we're all in. Yes, everybody's saying, well, a bunch of people are saying, yes, we can feel it. It's like we're bringing it in, right? We open a door and it's like, here it is. And it's different, right? Um, yeah, it's amazing. Thank you, Fran. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I love this, says Krista Ella. She answers my question before I type, says Tracy. That's true. I saw that happen a few times. Um, how did the Shiva method evolve into a 5D manifestation pathway?
Um, well, I think the technique and method itself is efficient. So because of my experience as a dancer and energy worker, the body is very specific.
Okay.
Understand your chakras and your meridians and the flow of energy. Then the meditation is part of clearing the chakras and moving on. And then the Enneagram is the study of personalities, which is the thing that gets in our way, right?
Right.
So, and all those three components, so it's or four components, it's movement, meditation, energy, and Enneagram connected to the soul. And how we get to the soul is beyond, is in the 5D as we infuse the soul, bring it back into this reality, staying grounded and present to what you really want. Then it becomes something you can manifest in this current time. So you're bringing energy to all of you,
All of
all
you.
aspects of you
Okay.
at a higher plane and bringing it back into the body. So that the questions that you ask yourself, those questions aren't there because you're manifesting the truth. Because you're fusing with your soul, which is your best friend, which
Yeah.
is part of why we're here, which
Right.
is purpose.
Right. Yeah, this makes sense. And I want to pull up um I don't know if there is just one Enneagram or we have multiple, but I pulled one up. I want to kind of walk through this a little bit because when we say that word Enneagram, people be like, well, what is that? You know, what does that mean? And we're going to talk a little bit about what that means. Christy Ellis says, this is such a beautiful energy and experience. Thank you, everyone. Uh, another person said, holy something. And it's,
Well, good.
yeah,
Here
they're
we go. Rock and roll.
rock and roll. I'm pulling this up. I pulled this from some of your information. Um,
Yeah,
this would be an Enneagram, right? Yeah, explain a little bit of
correct.
this, people, since we've been kind of opening the doorway. That this Enneagram is connected to something. So explain a little bit about this because this is coming in our discussion.
Okay, so let me just say the purpose that I did this is because, you can be a healer, you could be professional in anything, you can have all kinds of skills, but you still have to come home to yourself
That's
and
true.
your life and your living. And if things aren't working, if you get stuck in relationships or different things aren't rolling correctly, this is why as a healer, I said, I have to do this in order to understand my own flaws, or I would say shortcomings. You know, God forbid I'm not perfect, right? So there are three types, and this is interesting. This is designed by a man named Gurdjieff, and he's Russian in the 1900s. And he studied movement all over the world. This is why I was so attracted to this system. He studied movement like all different cultures of all over the world, and he choreographed one piece, realizing that we really are all one, but we come from either the heart, the mind, or the body. And this one
Mm,
piece is just like it's a repeated piece, but you get mesmerized by it like Sufi dancers. So his concept was first with movement, and then this has been, advanced through the years that it becomes more of a psychological analogy. So you have the body type, which is so it's at the top 8, 9, and 1.
okay. All these. This is
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got your challenger, your peacemaker, and your reformer. So the body types are the 8 is a big, big energy, and they are defenders. Peacemaker is the one is like the minister that sees everything.
Mm,
Tries to get, everything, both sides, but they have this underlying seed of anger. So this is
mm,
the reformer is the perfectionist. Okay, so those are the 8, 9, and 1. Then we have the heart type 2, 3, 4, which is 2 is the helper, the nurturer, the giver. Then you have the achiever, which is the 3. Then you have the individualist, which is the 4. So um, the helper is usually in a field like this. I'm a 2.
okay.
So and the achiever is about work. And then the individuals is more of an artist type, they're very dramatic and as I speak, I know you guys are kind of recognizing some of these in yourself. So
Yeah.
then you have the head type, which is 5, 6, and 7. And then you have the investigator, which is 5. Then you have the loyalist, which is the 6, and then the enthusiast, which is the 7. Of course, we all love 7s because 7s are really enthusiastic. They see the red apple and the apple on the other side's red, or I'm going to go there and I'm going to go over here and then I'm going to go over here. And they're very, very exciting, fun. 6s are funny and loyalists, but they question everything,
Mm,
everything.
mm.
And they live in their head. And then we have the 5, the introvert, and they live in their head. So these are all head types. So interesting should give an example of a head type. If I'm reading the energy and I'm looking at the body and I see the questions and the questions and the questions and their energies up on their head, they're usually a head type.
Right. Asking a lot of questions
I
and
mean, my God, they're asking the question, and it's hysterical. And so the perfect thing I say about a 6 is never ask them how they feel.
okay.
Ask them how they think they feel.
Okay.
You see? So
Yes.
so this level of communication, the way you ask a question, the way you respond to each type, we're all the types. We just had to navigate through one.
Mm.
Like a heart will hurt. They have they take emotions into their heart, so they get emotional.
Now, quick question. Are we each do each of us have sort of like body, head, heart, and then one
Yeah.
of these different types within that, or are some people purely more body? They experience things through the body, they feel through the body, they perceive reality through the body, not so much through the head or the heart, or is it a combination?
Well, it's a combination. You have tri-types, and then you have
Hmm.
those lines that you see that you can go to, like a 2 will go to 8 and then go to 4.
Okay, I'll go back to this here. Yeah.
So it's kind of like this strange. You said,
Oh, I see. So we tend to be, I see. Yeah, we
yeah,
tend to be like, so just for example, and we're going to dive into this as it relates to karma and a lot more. So everyone, trust me,
yeah,
we're going to have some fun with this. So, I could be a reformer in the body, but then an
yeah,
enthusiast in the head. And then,
right.
okay. Yeah, I get it. I get
And
it.
then
Okay.
the 1 goes to 4, which is, see that it goes to 4.
Yes.
And so
Ah, yes.
there's
And
a
there's the
little more
heart.
drama and a heart. So that's
So,
how.
okay. Sorry to jump in. I'm like, whoa, this is really cool. Now, do y'all see the connections now, how this works? And this is like why it's an Enneagram, right? Okay. So karma and karmic cleaning and forgiveness is super important to manifest a new reality, be it in the body, be it in abundance, be it in just creation. Um, what is the tie or the link to karma and the Enneagram and some of what we uncover there? Why is that important?
Well, I think, okay, so karma is about attachments, right? Attachments to an old energy or something that you have to repeat in this lifetime, or your attachment to ancestry pattern. So the Enneagram is about patterns.
Hmm.
So looking at the patterns. So the karma release is if you look at the attachments that hold the patterns, and that's energy, you look at
Yes.
the attachments that hold the patterns, you let go of the attachments, you're free to let go of the karma.
Yes.
So you put the karma on a disc and release it into the universe. But you have to let go of the attachment to it. So that means you have to come back to the authentic self and forgive. You with me?
Yes. Yes, I
Okay.
am. I'm getting a quick question here that I think would be very illustrative for a lot of people. Tracy says, how does the Enneagram or diagram relate to the healing or to the release of karma? For each type or for each way that people, I would assume, relate to reality, there may be a different place or way that they hold that karma or that unforgiveness.
Yes. Let's see. How can I? Okay, I'm gonna give an example. I think this will help. So let's say you, and I want you to imagine physically that you might do this, or I know I do it. I'll just throw it at myself. When I think that something is correct and I want someone to do something for me, and I think that I'm correct and right in my analogy, my body will go forward towards them. And you're sort of, because you're so excited about what you think you're right about, right? So you kind
Yes.
of invade that energy, invade someone else's energy, and guess what they do?
They probably go back.
Pull back, pull
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
So they pull back,
Get away. Get
and
away.
that there's in that is the lesson of detaching,
Mm,
pulling your energy back in and say, "Ooh, well, what's missing with you, honey? What do you need to do to get that attention? Who are you to judge that person? You can't impose your energy. They don't want it.
yeah.
That, that's a hello." So, in other words, it's honoring and a gentle observation. And that goes on both sides, saying, okay, I need to pull my energy back, understand what I really need to do for myself in order to let go of that person and let them free them, forgive yourself for imposing, and let them be who they need to be.
Yeah. And in doing so,
Does
you
that
also,
help that answer that question?
yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And in doing so, you release the karma and the
Yeah.
attachment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to be talking more about this. And what I want to do, if we can, I want to get to maybe some callers who have questions or maybe things going on. And we can do maybe a series of some little mini little energy work sessions here. Is that okay, Fran?
Sure.
Okay. So if you have a question or you've been intrigued or really engrossed in this discussion and everything that Fran has experienced and tapped into, and you are wanting some support or just someone to give you some guidance on what could be going on, or maybe what the next thing you may want to look at doing to really liberate and get to that highest timeline is, we're going to do that. So go ahead and raise your hand. And any suggestions or things you want to remind people before we take a couple callers, or do you need to know like maybe what's the number one thing that they're kind of trying to resolve or move through, or what would be helpful for you, Fran?
You mean for the questioner?
Yeah, for the questioner to inform you on, to tell you
Oh,
about.
oh. Well, it depends. I might want to see them if I can. I don't
Okay.
know. Whatever the question is, I won't know yet.
All right. Well, we'll go in. Yeah, I would say if you can kind of identify what brings you here. All right, I'm gonna go to Teresa Marshall. So let me see. Teresa, I'm sending you an unmute request, and if possible, you could start your video if you can. If not, that's okay. Teresa, are you there? How can we help you today?
Hi, how are you? Can
Hi.
Hi.
you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Oh,
Nice.
okay. Hi.
Hi.
Um, I actually want to know like what can I do to connect to like my like higher abilities. Like I feel like because of my traumatic childhood, I'm so like locked out of it. I don't have like any connection to things. And I just always am trying to meditate and trying to do so many things, but nothing seems like it's working.
Well, I hope to do a meditation today, hopefully, if we can. I think that might help. Um, the idea of staying grounded and present to yourself and allowing all what I call these nuisance guides or this nuisance energy that sort of pounds you and that it leaves the room in order for you to focus on just you.
Mm.
We get so busy with the energy around us that we cannot even focus. So the nuisance guides or this energy that pulls you out of focus, we want to fire them so that you can be present to your energy, so that we can find the heart, the body, the soul fusion for you to see, feel, know, hear the next level.
So are you seeing what you call nuisance guides?
Nuisance guides, yes. So
Okay.
let's say, they're these little energies that kind of run all around the room or something,
Oh,
and they sort of connect to you or attach to you and say, hey, 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 I'm here.
right,
Hey,
right.
I'm here. I'm here. We have to go this way. We have to go this way. Oh no, I'm going to go this way. So whether that is from, your experience either even in trauma where you connect with those sort of, well, that's all I know. No, you know more than that,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can allow the space and allow the breath to be present to the inner you so that that can speak.
Okay.
Do you
And
feel that opening up, Teresa? I feel like it's like,
yeah.
I mean, we're
It makes a
talking,
lot of
but
sense.
stuff is happening.
Yeah.
It
So
makes a lot of sense.
yeah, so that open up so you can speak your truth.
Do you feel those nuisance guides, we would call them kind of like always keeping you distracted or busy and not like
Yeah.
tapping into your power?
Yeah, I
Mm.
guess I just need to focus more on what I do know, like she's saying, and then because I feel like I let it overtake me. I guess the nuisance is always overtaking me.
Well,
Mm.
yeah, because then it just sometimes it's easier. But if you acknowledge them and say, hey, thank you for being here, I'm done. I mean, gently say you're fired,
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
take a breath.
Mhm.
I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Thank you.
Lovely, lovely energy.
Mm. How's it feel now, Teresa?
I can feel a little shift there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Wow. It feels very much like a door opened up. I don't know how to explain this. Maybe I'm still in kind of like the tunnel and the experience, the ET experience, but it's like there's like a doorway opening up to a 5D reality, another dimension, right? And this is why I think we stay stuck in these other timelines is because we're constantly being drawn or pulled into these karmic situations, these karmic ties, these karmic bonds, these distractions, these nuisances, all of this stuff that is just keeping us from that next level. Um, and we're going to see what the next caller shares. And a lot of people writing in. Teresa is glowing now. This is a ship today, a ship, a trip. I don't know. Wow, I am the same on the nuisances. So a lot of people sending Teresa love. Let me get to another caller. If you've got a caller today, I'm going to go to Judith. She's got a question about a shoulder that keeps, it sounds like dislocating. Judith, how are you, my dear? What's going on?
Hi, Darius. Well, my shoulders spontaneously dislocate. It can be the right or the left. Today it's the left one.
Oh,
And
ouch. I'm
but
so
this has
sorry.
been going on for years. And so I wanted to get to the bottom of what the karma behind it.
Can you share your, can I see you?
Oh yes, sorry. Video. Hey.
Hi,
Hi.
Judith.
Hey.
Hi.
Yeah.
What are you, how are you sleeping?
Flat on my back. Always mostly on the back and sometimes on the left or the right side.
Is it painful to sleep on the side?
Yes, if I sleep too long on the side, then the shoulders will be sore.
Yeah.
So most of the time I have to sleep on my back.
Okay, so when I look at someone, I close my eyes, so don't freak out.
Yeah.
I'm just
No, it's
kidding.
okay.
Judith is experienced with
Okay.
with the
Okay.
ways of our show.
Okay. Okay.
She's a loyal listener.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
if you were in front of me, I would do this. So you might have to do it yourself.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you to take your right thumb
Yeah.
and
Okay.
you're going to
Right.
go under your armpit and you're going to push up.
Oh, it's my right arm that's the one that's
Oh, it's the
dislocated.
right arm?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're going to push,
Am I gonna do it with the right arm still or the left?
no, left
Okay.
thumb on your
Yeah.
under your right shoulder. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So you're going to the thumb is going to go right underneath here, I'll take this off. You're
Okay.
going to go underneath your armpit.
Yeah. All right. Okay. On that muscle.
And you're going to push up and then drop your shoulder
All
as
right.
you push up.
Yeah.
Okay. Now
Yeah.
keep pushing up
Okay.
and then take a deep breath and then drop your